Hi everyone and welcome back to Maths and Physics with Mr. Simons. Today is grade 10 algebraic expression lesson, right? We're dealing with the fifth variation of 7, right? And that is finding products by multiplying binomial two terms by a trinomial. Now this is a compulsory exam question for grade 10, always gets asked. So make sure you understand how to do it. This is not just when we test whether you can work with more terms being multiplied, and remember to identify like terms and add them. Right, so multiplying binomial by trinomial, in theory, we have to multiply every term in the first bracket with all terms in the second bracket. So to make sure we do this, I'm going to separate using distributive law. So I'm going to say 3x times the whole bracket, 2x squared minus 3xy plus 5y squared, and minus 4y times 2x squared minus 3xy plus 5y squared. So I simply separated this two because I'm going to multiply them in with each term. Right, so now if we multiply, we're going to say 3x times 2x squared. Right, there's negative, there's positive, so positive times negative stays negative. 3x times 3xy. Then positive times positive stays positive, and I have 3x times 5y squared. Then the negative times positive stays negative, and I have 4y times 2x squared. Negative times negative becomes positive, and I have 4y times 3xy. Negative times positive gives me a negative, and I have 4y times 5y squared. Right, so if I multiply out now, 3 times 2 gives me 6. X squared times x becomes x cubed. There the negative stays. 3 times 3 gives me 9. X times x gives me x squared y. There positive stays. 3 times 5 gives me 15. X times y squared gives me xy squared. There negative stays. 4 times 2 would give me 8. Right, and then x squared times y gives me x squared y. Positive stays there. 4 times 3 gives me 12. X stays x, and y times y becomes y squared, and for the end here I have negative. 4 times 5 would give me 20. Y squared times y gives me y cubed. So we give you 1 mark for the first 3 that's correctly multiplied, and another mark for the last 3 that's correctly multiplied. Now you have to look for the like term. So 6x cubed is the only 6x cubed. Stays 6x cubed. My apologies. And there you see I have x squared y. X squared y. I've colored them in red to show you those are like terms. So minus 9 minus 8 would give me negative 17 or minus 17. The xy squared and xy squared are like terms. So 15 plus 12 would give me 27 xy squared, and minus 20y cubed. There's no partners, so it stays minus 20y cubed. So another mark for adding those two like terms, and another mark for adding these two like terms. Alright, and that is how we put the 4 marks together. Alright, let's go to the next problem. Alright, so again multiplying binomial and trinomial, I have 3x plus 2y in bracket 6x squared minus 3xy plus 5y. So each term in the first bracket must be multiplied with all the terms in the second bracket. So I'm going to say 3x times 6x squared minus 3xy plus 5y squared plus 2y times 6x squared minus 3xy plus 5y squared. And we know this because between this bracket and that bracket there's no plus or minus sign in between the brackets. Therefore it represents multiplication. So I have 3x times 6x squared. I have positive times negative, which becomes negative. 3x times 3xy. I have positive times positive. 3x times 5y squared. The positive times positive stays positive. 2y times 6x squared. Positive times negative stays negative. 2y times 3xy. Positive times positive stays positive, and I have 2y times 5y squared. So these two steps you don't need to show, that I'm doing for explanation purposes. Right, 3 times 6 would give me 18. X squared times x gives me x cubed. Negative stays there. 3 times 3 would give me 9. X times x, x squared, y. 3 times 5 would give me 15. X times y squared gives me xy squared. 2 times 6 would give me 12. X squared times y, x squared y. Negative stays negative. 2 times 3 becomes 6. X, y times y, y squared. 2 times 5 would give me 10. Y squared times y would then give me y cubed. Right, and now we add the like terms. So the 18x cubed stays 18x cubed. 10y cubed stays 10y cubed. Minus 9 plus 12, or 12 minus 9 would give me plus 3. 15 minus 6 would give me 9xy squared. Right, so 1 mark for multiplying and getting the correct 3 terms there. Another mark for getting those 3 terms correct. 1 mark for adding like terms, another mark for like terms, and that is how we test the 4 marks. Right, so I hope you follow. Go practice. Remember, practice makes perfect. What we mean with that, the more problems you do that are the same in one go for maths, the more that problem stays in your head and you can't get it wrong in exam. Alright, textbook is full of these problems. I hope you find them and you practice as many as possible. God bless. Bye.